Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. We are finally back to working on the 32.5 window coupe. So going to put a push on to finish off what we promised to do for the customer on the Moncton coupe. A lot of the work, the major work is done, but I went around to the different things and I made a list of all the small things I have to complete before we hand it back to the customer. So there's a lot of little stuff to do. I'm figuring it's going to take probably 2 more episodes anyways to get done what he wants done. Then he's going to take the vehicle and he's got a chassis ready for it and an engine and whatnot. And once he gets that going, we'll give you an update on where the car goes from there. But for us, it's a matter of basically making the body, square, doors opening, shutting, everything functional, no holes, and then he's taking it from there. So one of the things that we had to do was the latch mechanism of the door did not work. It still doesn't work. Even after I took it out, I tried to get it to work, but it's just too far gone, too rusted. So my customer gave me another one. He wanted the lock deleted out of here because normally there's a lock on the passenger side, so we just put a piece of sheet metal over it. He's not going to use a lock on it. What I've done so far, it doesn't look like much, but it was actually quite a bit of work. So we've got the door open and shutting now. So the mechanism had to go in, and one thing unique about the early Fords, like some of you guys already know, Ford used a lot of 12-24 screws. They're not readily available in your corner hardware store or even some of the larger ones. What I had to do, I had to go on Amazon. I just basically ordered a big bag of 100 of these things, 12-24 screws. I think we paid 10 or 12 bucks for them, so I got a lifetime supply of them. All the holes had to be retopped and cleaned out. So the mechanism's in. The inside latch, I don't have a handle. My customer does have a handle for it, but if I put a wrench on that, this opens and shuts. Now, one thing where this mechanism wasn't part of that door, this I guess plunger came out too far. So it had to be dressed up just a little bit so that it would shut properly. And then also the striker plate over here, had to take that out, re-drill all the holes, retap it so that it now can be adjusted and whatnot. It's all same thing, just like I said, 12-24 threads, of course. Then he had an original set of handles. The door holes were a little crooked, so I had to straighten those out. Those are 1032, so that's a little more common screw that you can pick up. But again, those holes had to be drilled and tapped, and so now it opens and shuts. The other thing I mentioned in previous episodes is the door gaps were inconsistent from side to side. Now the originals were inconsistent by today's standards. Even when we're doing these older cars, we want a pretty decent gap. So this gap here was too tight from about here to here. So essentially all I did, I ground the surface down part of the way, then welded it, dressed it, ground it down, welded it, and dressed it. So right now I've got basically a nice even gap top to bottom here, and that's about all my customer wanted me to do for that. So this door is pretty much done. I'm going to move on to a few more things, like there's pinholes to fix in the body. Got to do the door handles on the other side. The bottoms of the B-pillars have to be, there's a little bracket that I did on the New York coupe that I have to do on this one. So I'm going to go through this list. I'm going to, as I do each thing, I'll show you what we did and how we did it, and we'll keep on going with it. So I decided to work on the cowl vent today. There's all kinds of stuff on the list to do, and I said, well, I've done the cowl vent on the 32 pickup before. It was quite seized badly. I spent a lot of time working on it. This one isn't so bad. This mechanism here was separated. There's a bracket up top here. I don't know if the camera lady can swing down or not. So this bracket up top that this arm swings onto was actually detached and bent from it. But the basic structure of the cowl vent on the inside is in really good shape. There was no holes, no nothing. So there was no reason to actually replace that. It was just a matter of cleaning this up and making this work. So this is the hinge mechanism. The cowl vent itself goes in like that, and then it basically bolts through here. Over on the bench there, I've got one, a complete one, a Brookfield one. I'll show you. This is not complete yet, but here's one that we bought. It's a complete Brookfield replacement. You can see the hinge here, and then the cowl mechanism itself, and then it just gets bolted to the hinge there. We're looking at it upside down, and then this piece goes on there, and there's a spring that's going to go from here up to that. So I'm going to put that together in a few minutes, and I'll have that bolted together, and I'll show you opening and closing it. But so far that's what we've done on the cowl, and that's what it looks like upside down. I have the cowl vent all put in place. Actually had to go re-weld the bracket again, this very top piece that these things bolt into. Got the spring in place, got the detent here. So the cowl, that's how it works. The only thing missing on the outside is the gasket. But the customer, he has a gasket for it. So there it is right there. And a rubber gasket would go into this, get glued into this pocket here. We did it on a 32 pickup. He said this owner is going to do the same thing. While I was at it, I had basically taken this piece off of my Brookfield kit, and I used it on my 32 pickup. So I took the opportunity to copy that detent piece over there. It just fits in place. This isn't tight right now, but it will go. That's the way it works. It looks upside down. So I'm going to carry on working on the rest of the stuff on the list. I'm not sure what's next, but you'll see in a couple seconds. So plugging away on the list, one of the things the owner wanted me to install, the dash. These screws are much like the other ones, are 1224s. Some of the screws were broken, so I had to drill and tap those out. The dash is in. Another small thing up top here, I mentioned I had to get these brackets cleaned up and installed. So there's a bolt that goes into the header wood, and there's a nut and bolt that actually goes through here. So there's an insert that's actually on the other side of this wood that bolt screws into, and then just a 1/4 nut and bolt on the top. So that's done on both sides. Here in the back, like I mentioned, the rear window wood, I've got it out. Definitely have to replace this, and I'm going to have to do some surgery on the metal tray for the door. Both of these cars had roll down rear windows, so I'm going to hopefully not replace the whole thing, but it looks like I'm going to have to make a piece for the bottom and then make up a little metal guide here for the window track for this one. I'll make up wood for both of these cars at the same time, so this has got a pretty decent set for making copies from. Going to start that on this episode. Hopefully I'll have it finished on this episode, but that's kind of next up. And then on the outside, one of the things I had to do was go around the car and look for pinholes. So in all the repairs I had, like there was a couple, like a little repair up top here, there was a pinhole that I missed, had to fill up. So I went around the car and put basic masking tape around different spots. One of the things with these old cars, even after I do all of the body work and the owner, if he sandblasts it, more than likely there's going to be some thin spots that are going to have to be repaired. You just can't find them all. I will look for all of them. I will fix everything that I see, but that's all you can really do at this stage. There was a spot here as well. I tried welding the pinhole up, but actually wound up having to put another piece of metal in there. So I'm kind of happy with that. And then last of all, for this little update, had to put the driver's door on. So I have no idea what this handle is off of, but that's what was on the car. Looks like I was off of a garage door and they adapted something to make it work and had a lock on it. The bad thing is they kind of hacked out the hole where the door handle went in. So essentially all there is on these cars is, you can see it right there, there's just a round hole and then 2 holes to put the 1032 threads into. So essentially underneath that I had to basically build it up and make a round hole so that it seats right. But now both doors open and shut okay. Oh, also the cowl was cracked from all along here, down around there on both sides. So cleaned that up, welded it shut and dressed it up. So that's done. Like I said, next up I'm gonna take that back piece of the window apart and then go in the wood shop and make some wood pieces. Here we are. I was in the shop. I made up the wood pieces to go around the window. Right now the wood, it's not pressed in all the way, but it will go in all the way. So it's a good, nice, tight fit. So the 2 vertical pieces, the horizontal piece here is all made up. I removed the metal tray or drip tray or whatever you want to call it for where the window goes up and down. I've got that over the bench. I'll talk about that in a minute. One thing I did notice on the Moncton Coupe, these actual joints go in over the wood. I looked at the New York Coupe. Unfortunately, I didn't make them all the same way, but the New York Coupe appears to be mortise and tenon going up inside here. So instead of this going in this way on the top piece of the wood, it actually goes up. So I made the wood in the shop basically so that I can adjust those pieces on the top. I made a piece going across here. So this is not nailed in or anything. So this is ready to go. Over on the bench, I'm going to show you the drip tray. I took a look at what we had, both from the Moncton and the New York Coupe. The Moncton Coupe, this is the one from the Moncton Coupe, and it kind of looks okay at first, but it's really super thin. And there's a crack going across the bottom here, so I'd have to weld that all up. Ultimately, what I decided to do, and there's a part that will go on the New York Coupe, but someone's cut all of the bolt holes out of it. So ultimately what I decided to do was make one. I had some 18 gauge, I think this is hot rolled, so it's pretty tough stuff. Hot rolled or cold rolled? Cold rolled, yeah. Anyways, it's pretty tough stuff, this here. I've bent it up. It's my first trial piece. I did pre-stretch all the beads and everything, but I need to pre-stretch it more. So this is going to be the trial piece. I'm going to make up a couple more. Behind the camera lady, I had to run into town and get another sheet of sheet metal today, so I wasn't able to get very far with it. So that's it for this episode. To be continued on the next episode. I'm going to make up 2 of these drip trays for both coupes and get them on the car and try and finish off the rest of the stuff on the list. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. And of course, please send your comments. Everybody have a great week. Take care.